Have you ever felt like you and your partner speak two completely different emotional languages? You're trying to explain how you feel, but somehow the message gets lost between words, distractions, or rising frustration. If one of you has ADHD, this can happen a lot, not because you don't love each other, but because your brains literally process attention, emotion, and timing differently. Today, we'll unpack how ADHD affects communication and connection, and most importantly, how both partners can bridge that gap without blame or exhaustion. Whether you have ADHD yourself or you love someone who does, by the end of this video, you'll understand what's really happening beneath the misunderstandings and how to communicate in a way that finally feels safe, seen, and understood. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, ADHD affects about 4 to 5% of adults worldwide, though many go undiagnosed until later in life. For people with ADHD, the brain's executive functions, things like planning, remembering details, organizing thoughts, and managing emotions, operate differently. It's not a matter of willpower or effort. Imagine trying to tune into a single radio station when multiple channels keep cutting in and out. You're trying to stay present, but the signal keeps shifting. In relationships, this difference can look like forgetting plans, interrupting during conversations, or struggling to express thoughts clearly. Meanwhile, the neurotypical partner might experience this as carelessness or disinterest, even though that's rarely the case. ADHD is not about not caring, it's about inconsistent access to attention, not the absence of it. The emotional core of ADHD is often sensitivity. People with ADHD feel deeply, love passionately, and want connection just as much as anyone else. But when communication breaks down, shame and defensiveness can take over on both sides. Understanding ADHD as a difference in brain wiring, not a flaw in character, creates the foundation for empathy and healing in any relationship. Symptoms and early warning signs. Recognizing how ADHD shows up in communication helps couples catch friction points early. Emotionally, someone with ADHD may experience intense feelings that arrive quickly and fade just as fast. They might react strongly to perceived criticism or rejection, a pattern often called rejection sensitivity. Even a small sigh or neutral tone can trigger feelings of being unloved or inadequate. Cognitively, they might lose track of conversation threads, jump between topics, or struggle to remember details their partner mentioned earlier. This isn't a lack of listening, it's the brain's attention system constantly shifting focus. Behaviorally, this can look like forgetting to reply to messages or follow through on small promises, interrupting during discussions, starting but not finishing tasks like cleaning or planning a trip, appearing disengaged during emotionally heavy conversations. For the neurotypical partner, these moments can feel invalidating or even lonely. You might think, why can't they just focus when we talk? But what's really happening is a battle between interest-based focus and intention. ADHD brains are wired to respond to novelty or emotional charge. When something feels routine or overwhelming, their attention slips, not because they don't care, but because their neural chemistry doesn't sustain motivation in the same way. According to a 2022 review in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience, dopamine regulation plays a central role. Dopamine drives attention and reward processing, and in ADHD, this system functions differently, creating inconsistent focus and motivation patterns. Early signs of relationship strain often include escalating arguments over small issues, repeated miscommunications, and both partners feeling unseen. Recognizing these as signals, not signs of incompatibility, allows couples to shift from blame to curiosity. The hidden cycle of misunderstanding. When ADHD and neurotypical communication patterns collide, a predictable emotional cycle often begins, one that neither partner intends. It starts with a moment of disconnection, maybe a forgotten plan, a late response, or an emotional reaction that feels too big. The neurotypical partner may feel dismissed, thinking if they cared, they'd remember. The ADHD partner, sensing that disappointment, may spiral into shame or defensiveness, thinking, no matter what I do, it's never enough. Over time, these reactions form what psychologists call a pursue-withdraw cycle. One partner seeks reassurance through words or intensity, while the other retreats to protect peace. Both are longing for safety, but their coping mechanisms clash. In this space, miscommunication multiplies. Arguments repeat not because partners don't understand each other, but because both feel unheard. Breaking the cycle begins when couples recognize the pattern as the real enemy, not each other. Saying something like, "I think we're caught in that loop again, can we pause?" transforms the moment. Awareness turns frustration into teamwork. The goal isn't perfect communication. It's gentle repair and shared understanding, again and again. Risk factors. Several factors influence how ADHD affects relationships. Genetics play a large role. ADHD often runs in families, meaning one or both partners may share traits that affect communication styles. Environmental stress also matters. High-pressure jobs, parenting demands, or financial challenges can amplify ADHD symptoms, especially when emotional regulation is taxed. Unrecognized ADHD can be a hidden risk factor. Many adults, especially women, are diagnosed late in life after years of relationship struggles. Without understanding what's driving their patterns, both partners might internalize guilt or resentment. Lastly, emotional burnout plays a part. Constantly compensating for symptoms or constantly reminding your partner creates tension. But recognizing ADHD as part of the dynamic allows both partners to collaborate rather than compete against the challenge. The root causes. At its core, ADHD is linked to differences in how certain brain regions communicate, particularly the prefrontal cortex, limbic system, and reward pathways. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and impulse control, has reduced dopamine activity in ADHD brains. This doesn't mean people can't focus. It means focus depends on emotional interest, urgency, or novelty. The limbic system, which manages emotions, is more reactive. This makes emotional highs and lows sharper, leading to strong reactions in arguments. Think of it like driving a car with ultra-sensitive pedals. Every acceleration or brake feels more intense. Neurotypical brains might coast more smoothly, while ADHD brains feel every bump on the road. Environmental shaping adds another layer. Years of being told to just try harder or pay attention can create deep emotional scars. Over time, this leads to shame, defensiveness, or the belief that one's efforts will never be enough. Understanding these root mechanisms doesn't excuse hurtful behavior, but it explains it, and that's where compassion begins. When partners know the why, they can respond with empathy instead of frustration. The connection to other mental health aspects. ADHD rarely exists in isolation. It often intersects with anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem, conditions that can intensify communication difficulties. For example, anxiety might cause an ADHD partner to overthink every message or tone, interpreting neutral moments as rejection. Depression might lower motivation, making it harder to start or sustain conversations. Meanwhile, the neurotypical partner may develop relationship anxiety, walking on eggshells, unsure how to bring things up without triggering defensiveness. Research from Harvard Health, 2023, highlights that emotional dysregulation, rapid shifts in mood and intensity, is one of the most distressing parts of ADHD for couples. This can create cycles of misinterpretation. One partner withdraws to calm down, while the other feels abandoned. Yet the same emotional intensity that causes conflict also allows for deep connection. People with ADHD often bring spontaneity, creativity, and humor to relationships. Their ability to love fully and forgive quickly can become the relationship's strength if both partners understand how to manage the challenges. When viewed through this holistic lens, ADHD is not just about focus, it's about emotional processing. Learning to regulate emotions together can transform a relationship from reactive to resilient. ADHD, rejection sensitivity, and relationship anxiety. One of the most tender and least discussed aspects of ADHD is rejection sensitivity dysphoria, or RSD. It's not a formal diagnosis, but rather a term used to describe the deep emotional pain triggered by even mild criticism or perceived disapproval. For someone with ADHD, a partner's sigh or distracted look can feel like a sudden flood of shame or panic. It's as if their brain shouts, "You've disappointed them again," even when that's not true. This reaction isn't overdramatization, it's rooted in neurobiology. Research suggests the ADHD brain's emotional regulation centers, especially the amygdala, are more reactive to social cues of rejection. The impact? People may over-apologize, withdraw to avoid disapproval, or over-explain to restore connection. Over time, both partners may begin to fear communication itself. What helps is co-regulation, the practice of grounding together. That can mean holding hands in silence, slowing breathing, or gently saying, "I love you, and I'm not angry." Let's take a moment. These small signals of safety soothe the nervous system. They teach both partners that conflict doesn't equal abandonment, and that emotional storms can pass with care and patience. How it affects daily life. Daily life with ADHD in a relationship can feel like constant motion, rushing from one unfinished conversation to another. One partner may feel like the manager, keeping track of schedules, bills, and plans, while the other feels micromanaged or criticized. This imbalance can breed resentment on both sides. Even small habits, like being late or zoning out mid-conversation, can carry emotional weight over time. The ADHD partner may feel shame. The neurotypical partner may feel neglected. But when couples externalize ADHD, seeing it as the problem, not the person, they reclaim teamwork. Instead of "you forgot again," it becomes, "how can we set reminders that actually work for both of us?" Reframing daily frustrations into shared problem solving is one of the simplest yet most powerful shifts for long-term harmony. Different communication clocks. One of the biggest hidden differences in ADHD relationships lies in how each partner experiences time. ADHD brains often work on what experts call a now or not now system. There's the urgent present, and then there's everything else that feels distant, even if it's just tomorrow. This can lead to mismatched timing. One partner feels ready to talk right away, while the other needs time to organize thoughts. One plans weeks ahead, the other acts in bursts of energy. Neither is wrong, it's simply two internal clocks ticking to different rhythms. The solution isn't forcing synchronization, it's building bridges. Try shared visual timelines, gentle check-ins like, "Is now a good time to talk?" or planning buffers between tasks and conversations. When partners honor each other's pace instead of judging it, time stops being a battlefield and becomes a shared rhythm. Lifestyle changes that can help. Healthy communication begins with a healthy foundation. Small lifestyle adjustments can significantly ease ADHD symptoms and relational stress. Sleep. Inconsistent sleep affects attention, mood, and patience. Prioritize a calming bedtime routine and limit screen time before bed. Research consistently shows that even one night of poor sleep can worsen impulsivity and emotional reactivity. Physical activity. Exercise increases dopamine and serotonin, both of which improve focus and mood. Shared activities like walks or yoga can also reconnect couples through nonverbal bonding. Nutrition. Regular balanced meals stabilize energy and attention. Skipping meals or relying on caffeine can heighten irritability. Structure and systems. Use shared calendars, visual reminders, or phone alerts to reduce forgotten tasks. The key is to design systems that feel supportive, not parental. Mindfulness and grounding. ADHD brains move fast. Short mindfulness breaks, deep breathing, 5-minute meditations, or simply naming what you feel help regulate emotional intensity. Connection rituals. Set aside tech-free time daily, even 10 minutes, just to talk or sit together. Intentional presence rebuilds emotional safety. These habits don't fix ADHD, but they lower the noise so communication can flow more clearly. Progress, not perfection, is what makes relationships sustainable. Love languages and ADHD. ADHD can color how love languages are expressed and received. For example, someone with ADHD might show love through acts of service, fixing things, planning surprises, or diving into projects. But if they forget to follow through, the partner may feel neglected instead of loved. Similarly, quality time can be tricky. The ADHD partner might crave connection but get distracted mid-conversation, while the neurotypical partner interprets that as disinterest. Bridging this gap starts with decoding each other's intent. Ask, how do you feel most loved by me? And what helps you feel I'm present? Creating love rituals like short daily check-ins or affectionate notes helps transform distraction into intention. When partners view each other's quirks as unique love dialects instead of flaws, affection flows more freely and resentment fades. Actionable strategies and techniques. Now let's look at specific evidence-based techniques for communicating when ADHD is part of the relationship. 1. Use when you then I statements. Instead of saying, you never listen, try, when we talk and I see you looking at your phone, I feel unheard. This focuses on the situation, not the person, reducing defensiveness. 2. Time conversations for success. ADHD brains are easily overwhelmed. Schedule important talks when both partners are calm, rested, and not multitasking. A 15-minute focus talk beats an hour-long argument fueled by fatigue. 3. Externalize memory. Don't rely on memory alone. Use shared notes or visual lists. When tasks live outside the brain, it frees up emotional energy for connection. 4. Slow down emotional reactions. Before responding during tension, take a pause. One study from the Journal of Emotional Regulation, 2021, found that short pauses before replying improved empathy and reduced conflict intensity in ADHD couples. 5. Validate before fixing. The ADHD partner might jump to problem solving. The neurotypical partner might seek emotional validation first. Practice saying, that sounds really hard before offering solutions. Validation opens the door to collaboration. 6. Create communication codes. Agree on a phrase or gesture that signals, I need a break during heated moments. This helps prevent escalation while maintaining trust. 7. Celebrate micro successes. Notice effort, not just outcomes. I saw you set a reminder that really helped us stay on track. Positive reinforcement motivates far better than criticism in ADHD dynamics. 8. Use visual or tactile focus aids. For the ADHD partner, having a fidget item or doodling while listening can actually enhance attention. These aren't distractions, they're self-regulation tools. 9. Revisit conversations. Memory gaps are real. It's okay to revisit talks to clarify meaning instead of assuming forgetfulness equals indifference. Small, consistent practices like these turn communication from a battlefield into a bridge. Repairing after conflict. Conflict isn't the problem, it's how we repair afterward that defines relationship health. ADHD's impulsivity can make arguments escalate quickly, leaving both partners raw. But post-conflict repair is a skill, not a talent. A helpful framework is the 3 R's. Regulate, reflect, reconnect. Regulate, take a pause. Do something grounding, walk, breathe, or listen to music. The goal isn't avoidance, it's calming the nervous system. Reflect. When emotions settle, ask yourself, what was I really feeling underneath my reaction? Often frustration hides fear or shame. Reconnect. Once both are calm, share reflections gently. I realize I shut down because I felt overwhelmed. Repair conversations build trust and emotional safety over time. Every repair, no matter how small, tells your partner, our bond matters more than our argument. 10 do's and don'ts. Do we speak calmly and clearly, avoiding loaded language? Assume good intent before reacting. Use reminders and shared tools as teamwork, not control. Express gratitude for small acts of effort. Check in regularly about emotional needs. Don't personalize forgetfulness as rejection. Lecture or parent your partner. Argue during peak emotional arousal. Expect perfection or instant change. Let shame dictate silence. Healthy communication in ADHD relationships isn't about flawless coordination. It's about mutual repair and ongoing compassion. ADHD and digital communication. Texting and digital communication can magnify ADHD misunderstandings. Delayed replies may look like disinterest. Long, impulsive messages may feel overwhelming. Even tone can be misread when facial cues are missing. A few mindful habits can help. Clarify intent early. Hey, busy brain today, just catching up later. Set texting expectations. Agree on how often and when you'll check in. Use voice notes. They carry warmth and tone, reducing misinterpretation. Remember, ADHD affects how information is processed, not how much someone cares. Online patience mirrors emotional patience. It's one more way to build connection in a digital world. When and how to seek professional help. Sometimes communication struggles feel too deep to untangle alone. That's when professional guidance can help. If arguments repeat without resolution, if one or both partners feel chronically unseen, or if emotional exhaustion turns into detachment, therapy can be a turning point. Couples therapy, especially with someone trained in ADHD or neurodiversity, focuses on rebuilding understanding and designing systems that honor both partners' needs. Individual therapy helps address emotional regulation, shame, and executive function struggles. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and emotion-focused therapy, EFT, are particularly effective in improving awareness and communication skills. Seeking help isn't a sign of failure. It's an act of care for the relationship. Think of therapy as relationship coaching with science-backed tools for smoother communication and deeper connection. Understanding medication. Medication often plays a role in managing ADHD symptoms, but it's not the whole picture. Stimulants like methylphenidate or amphetamines and non-stimulant options such as atomoxetine can help regulate dopamine and norepinephrine levels, improving focus and impulse control. It's important to remember that medication doesn't change personality, it enhances access to attention and emotional balance. Adjustments take time and should always be supervised by a qualified healthcare professional. Medication can make communication easier by stabilizing focus and reducing frustration, but it works best when paired with lifestyle routines and emotional strategies like the ones discussed earlier. Think of it as clearing the fog on the windshield. It helps you see the road, but you still need to drive with awareness and care. Supporting a loved one. If your partner has ADHD, your empathy can be a powerful force for stability. Start by separating the person from the symptom. Forgetfulness, lateness, or distractibility are not signs of disrespect. They're reflections of a different brain rhythm. Encourage without controlling. Instead of, "Did you take your meds?" Try, "How can I support your focus today?" Offer feedback gently. "When this happens, I feel," instead of, "You always." And just as important, take care of yourself. Supporting someone with ADHD requires patience, and burnout helps no one. Seek your own support network or counseling if needed. Partnership means meeting in the middle, each learning the other's language of attention and emotion. What partners wish you knew, approximately 200 words. What the ADHD partner wishes you knew. I don't forget because I don't value you. I forget because my thoughts race faster than I can anchor them. I get distracted mid-sentence, not because I'm bored, but because my brain jumps 3 steps ahead. Please know when I say I'll try, I mean it from my heart. What the neurotypical partner wishes you knew. When I remind you or ask for structure, it's not control, it's care. When I need follow-through, it's not because I doubt you, but because it helps me feel safe and seen. I love your energy and creativity. I just need stability to breathe. Hearing both truths side by side reminds couples that love often speaks two dialects, and understanding each one creates harmony. Empowering message. If you've ever felt misunderstood, exhausted, or like love keeps slipping through communication cracks, pause and take heart. ADHD doesn't make relationships impossible. It simply asks for a different rhythm, one built on awareness, teamwork, and grace. The truth is, every couple faces challenges. ADHD just makes those challenges more visible. But visibility is power. When you name what's happening, you can reshape it together. Your relationship can absolutely thrive, not in spite of ADHD, but because you've learned to connect with more honesty, patience, and compassion than most. Recap and key takeaways. Here's what we've learned. ADHD affects how people manage focus, emotion, and communication. Misunderstandings stem from differences in attention and regulation, not a lack of love. Emotional sensitivity and dopamine regulation shape these patterns. Lifestyle habits, sleep, exercise, structure, build stability. Clear, validating communication creates safety and teamwork. Professional help and, when appropriate, medication can support both individuals and relationships. So think of ADHD not as a wall between partners, but as terrain you can learn to navigate together. With understanding and intentional strategies, you can turn constant confusion into consistent connection. Your mantra for this journey: we're not broken, we're learning our rhythm. If this video helped you understand ADHD and relationships more deeply, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. We'd love to know, what's one communication shift you'll try in your relationship this week? Share it in the comments below to inspire others. Crucial disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only and should not replace professional diagnosis or treatment. Everyone's experience with ADHD is unique. If you're struggling or unsure where to start, reach out to a licensed mental health professional. Support and understanding are available. You never have to go through it alone.